Come on. Yep. Tear this
Well,
out of here.
you have to take those off the end.
I was over at Lazarus today and they're all under construction. They're
What a mess.
totally
I was there last
changing.
night.
Northland.
Oh,
I went to
really?
go pick up her
It's like
cake and I
a
couldn't
hard
hardly
hat.
find my way
I
around.
know.
It's crazy.
Why do they do that for all the time?
You know, they just
Pay
did that.
taxes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh.
Oh,
What's
that's
that?
nice.
Look at that. Isn't that cute? That's like one of those long tunics that they're wearing now.
Oh.
So, you know.
Oh.
Isn't
But
that cute?
I think
Yes.
a 4 tie door looks awful big.
Oh, it's not when you get it on her.
Oh, look at the stripes.
Oh, look at that.
It looks like you should
Oh,
take
got
it
some
off.
cute
Point it towards the
stuff.
camera, Susan.
Yeah, they sure do.
Bring it towards the camera. Let me see it.
Kiss those.
Yeah.
She'll have to wash them before she puts them on. She wipe her mouth off.
Looky there.
Oh, those are cute.
Aren't those cute?
Well,
Oh, that
she's
other
just all
lavender
fixed
top will
up
go
for
with that.
summer now.
Yeah.
My,
Sure
you got
is.
lots
The little white shorts will go with those too.
Yeah.
What's it pretty good? That's what it sounds like she said.
Hey, you must have been
Well,
a
we got
really
another box over there,
good
haven't we?
No,
girl.
that's
Let's look for
that's
earwax.
nice
Yeah,
and
turn
neat.
this way. Turn up, turn. Right there. Hold it right there.
Can you see me wave?
Oh.
Any earwax? No, you turn your head back.
How about boogers?
No, I don't see the boogers either.
Play with this.
You're
It
clean.
makes more noise.
Dead sin.
Those are my boys.
Boy, I'm just thinking that.
Makes more noise than play it that way.
I'm glad they don't get together too often.
Yeah.
Because we had a totally normal
It's like my
upbringing.
mom.
We turned into abnormal.
Yeah.
We get
We didn't have
When we
any
get together. It's like,
major
ugh.
crisis when we were kids.
That's right, everything was just totally perfect.
Waste all the film.
I think what we should do before we waste film.
The red people.
What?
Let's get
I didn't set my hair, and I should have, shouldn't
Right.
I?
And you turn it over and do it again.
Why don't you just say a few words to the
Man,
camera?
do it.
Well, I really am speechless.
Yeah.
Gosh, folks, I'm speechless.
What we should do is get you, Grandma,
Yeah.
You mean
Mom, and
Me?
4 generations together at one time.
Those are all, they're already good toys.
Anyway, are we done? Is that the end of the pictures?
Those are nice.
The end of the
That
presents?
boy's pretty.
Here, I'll move this out of the way so you can get a picture.
Okay.
Going out,
No,
she's
it's
sucking
a
a sucker,
Discovery
holding
Toys.
her
It's only
clothes.
Can we do one more thing for classical conditioning? Can we sing another round of happy birthday now that she knows birthday is a good thing?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Ashley. Happy birthday to you. Ashley, 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 Ashley,
You're gonna make her
Ashley.
Hey,
Ashley!
Zelda
Everyone's fine there! Hail Ashley! She's here!
This is her favorite toy, I think.
Betty to figure out where those things are.
Yow! Yow!
I wouldn't have thought of
I've reversed it. So now we're in the Twilight Zone.
Are you two into taking
We're
together?
we're just being
Well, I didn't think
When
we'd
we
get
go
those
down there in
open.
Disney World, we'll be insane.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll virtually be
By ourselves. Pete Simone, are you happy with that VCR?
I love it, Geets. I knew I could just count on you to buy one, and then I would just buy yours, and I'd be fine. Now, you convince your father to buy one.
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Rambo.
He does too. Otherwise, what will happen is he'll end up buying a $2,000 one. If you don't get him under control now, he'll end up buying a $2,000 one.
That's my baby, no sir. I don't mean maybe, yes sir. That's my
Reaches down there and hangs on. There's something there.
We're planning our coffee golf trip with Patty. Yeah, take the key off of there.
I guess he feels so free.
Yeah.
Reach down there.
It
and
was
His
you know,
RV?
from there.
$50,000
If you get your
Every
RV,
day
I'll go
she
anywhere
will
with
not
you.
let
Don't
me
worry,
rest.
Seth.
She's constantly saying,
We'll take
Mommy,
mine
I
along
want
as
to
a
run around
driver.
naked. I
Mine
want to
will
run
drive.
around naked.
Oh,
And
yes,
I,
you guys.
you know, I'm usually home all day, so it doesn't matter. I go
Just in
ahead
case
and
you
let
want to
her.
know what Alice's going to be when she grows up.
No, all day. She
She's
won't
going to
let me
be an
dress her.
exotic dancer and an ambulance chaser.
Is that what you want to be?
No, right.
Local broadcast of Nova is provided in part through a grant from Chemical Abstract Service, a division of the American Chemical Society, serving science worldwide from Columbus, Ohio. From Cigna Health Plan of Columbus, providing personal health care services to Central Ohio. And from Mount Carmel, a family of healthcare facilities responding to the needs of Columbus and surrounding communities for 100 years.
That babies are capable of a wide range of feelings may come as no surprise to parents. But only recently has science turned its attention to the emotional lives of children. And in the past few years, new techniques have emerged that open a window onto infant emotions and which allow scientists to probe the nature of the child's inner world. Evidence is growing that emotions serve important biological and social functions in the development of a child's personality. But will this new understanding change the way we raise our children? Tonight on Nova, join psychologist Tom Cottle as we embark on a quest to understand life's first feelings.
Major funding for Nova is provided by this station and other public television stations nationwide. Additional funding was provided by the Johnson & Johnson family of companies, supplying healthcare products worldwide. And by Allied Signal, a technology leader in aerospace, electronics, automotive products, and engineered materials.
Open your eyes, see the world, you're a dream come true. Beautiful baby, look at me, let me look at you. Can you see your mother's face smiling down above? Can you hear the melody of the song of love? So long, we've waited for this day, dreaming of someone just like you to remind us how to play.
When a mother greets a newborn child, the joy fills her face. Yet before long, the reality sets in that parenting can also be a confusing and difficult experience.
I've been a house mother all summer long, and it's kind of neat because I get to see all this stuff every day, and he does it. You're not allowed to play with the TV, no. You can't stand up on the chair, you can't stand up on the table, you don't hit the chandelier, you don't dump the sugar bowl, you don't play with the lights on the Betamax, you don't turn the radio on and off, you don't play in the toilet, you don't get your dirty diapers out of your diaper pail.
He would not go to nobody but me. So I had to stop working and everything because I used to leave and he used to throw tantrums. And wouldn't nobody else want to keep him.
I actually found her cringing in her crib when her older brother would go in and he'll push her down when she stands up in it. And my husband has no concept of parent burnout because he's burning out at work and I'm at home going, oh.
When parents meet, they inevitably find themselves sharing questions about the emotional difficulties of parenting. They are concerned with how to do their best at what probably is the most important challenge they'll ever face, raising happy, healthy children. Can science contribute to this quest? I'm Dr. Tom Cottle. In the past 15 years, there's been an explosion of interest in the emotional development of children. This represents an enormous change, for historically, the field of psychology has viewed children in very limited ways. They've been described as a cauldron of seething drives, as a blank slate to be written on by the environment, and even as unfeeling learning machines. Some schools of thought have regarded the behavior of young children as simply a mechanistic reaction to rewards and punishments. Overall, most 20th century psychologists considered childhood emotion outside the pale of science and unworthy of serious study. Now, the climate has changed. Today, most researchers believe that the child brings into the world a rich tapestry of emotional potential. The study of the interplay between this inner world and the outer forces of the environment makes a fascinating story, one which may just help parents with their job and which can enrich our understanding of the very young.
I'll go get you. I'll go get you.
A newborn is bombarded with sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. One of the infant's first jobs is to develop a way of handling all these new experiences.
He's looking at her, but he's much
Professor Edward Tronick of the University of Massachusetts began his work in the early 1970s. The emphasis in child psychology then was on how children learn. But his early studies suggested a dramatic new direction.
When I first started working on this, I was working at an infant daycare center, and I felt like, gee, you know, I'm a real hotshot at this, so I'm going to do this kind of curriculum for these kids, and these kids are going to be really smart. And then as soon as I got there, I saw 6 or 7 infants out there being played with by different caretakers. And each of the teachers had to find a different rhythm, if you will, in themselves to fit to the different babies.
Tronick believes that emotions come first. If a baby fusses all the time, it can't begin to learn about the world. It's the emotional dialogue between parent and child which enables the infant to begin to control its emotions and at the same time lets the parents know how much stimulation the baby can handle.
What she's doing is she comes in really close. And so there's all this stimulation now coming from the outside. Now, in a way, that gets his attention, but at the same time, again, he has to be able to deal with that. So what he starts to do, he decreases the stimulation, he looks away, helps to get himself back under control, and then he can come back and now re-engage with the mother. She does that hand movement, she smiles. He says, oh, I need a little break again. So he disengages. And then he smiles and she comes back in so that they're really in sync with one another. But if they do get out of sync, he knows that if he then smiles, that she'll come back. And what you're seeing is almost a perfect dance between them.
After studying hundreds of infants and mothers, Tronick became convinced that this dance between parent and child is characteristic of most normal interactions. He believes this wordless dialogue initiates a bond of mutual expectation and trust. But what happens if that bond of expectations is interrupted?
And the procedure that we thought about was to ask the mothers to not respond to what the infants were doing. He looks at her, he smiles, big, full smile, realizes right there that she's not doing what he expects. So what he does now is something we saw him doing in the normal interaction. He looks away, he disengages. He's saying, something's wrong, I'm getting a little upset. This isn't exactly right. So I'll look over here. Right now he's saying, this doesn't feel real good. And I'm gonna try again. And looking at my hands is a way, I'll calm down a little. It's kind of self-comforting. It comes back here, looks at her, but there's no smile. There you see him drool. And this is a baby who wasn't drooling before, didn't have any of the signs of even losing a little bodily control. He starts tonguing, another sign of being upset, and now he's hiccuping. And his whole body, if you will, is getting, to some extent, unregulated.
If this response occurs in the laboratory, what happens when infants are emotionally deprived over long periods of time? Tronick discovered similar kinds of behavior in the babies of chronically depressed mothers.
The infants of depressed mothers have been experiencing this kind of interaction on a regular basis and develop a pattern of being disengaged from their mothers.
Tronick's findings about the role of strong emotional ties in the life of the baby echo the research of psychiatrist Renee Spitz in the 1940s. Capturing a much more extreme situation, Spitz filmed infants who were institutionalized when their mothers were jailed. Many of the children he studied became apathetic, cried continuously, and lost weight. Their natural resistance was lowered, and some died. Dr. Robert Emdy, an infant researcher at the University of Colorado Medical School, was a student of Spitz.
Renee Spitz really shocked the world with very painful, dramatic pictures of children who looked so painfully sad and devastated. And although their physical needs were being attended to, they lacked the emotional availability of caregivers. These infants looked horrifically sad. In a strict analogy to grief in an older child or adult, infants also can be grieved. And people couldn't bear to look at those films. It's very hard to look at them today. Some of the extreme situations may look very unusual and abnormal, and you might say, well, that doesn't exist today. Unfortunately, these awful, pained, emotionally starved expressions are seen today. There is an epidemic of child abuse and neglect, and it's a very serious problem. And in fact, when we see this expression, we teach clinicians to explore further, because intervention and help needs to be on the way.
These films presented persuasive evidence that a strong tie with a caring adult is crucial to the infant's emotional and physical well-being. They had an extraordinary impact on the study of infant emotions and the treatment of emotional disorders.
Hi, sweetheart. How you doing? Hi, I'm Dr. Greenspan.
Hi.
Dr. Stanley Greenspan, a psychiatrist with the Public Health Service, is on the firing line daily.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
He works with disturbed children, like those in the Spitz footage, and with more common childhood problems. His starting point is an appreciation of individual patterns of emotional development.
Each baby will experience sound, touch, visual experiences, their own movement patterns quite differently. And as a baby progresses up his own or her own maturational ladder and through the emotional milestones, they organize experience differently based on what they're blessed with when they come into the world. It's very, very important for parents to have tools to help the baby master their new emotional milestones.
A pioneer of early intervention, Greenspan believes emotional problems can be treated in babies as young as 2 months. This mother is concerned about her son's fussiness. In the past, treatment would have focused mainly on the parent's role. Greenspan's team pays equal attention to what the child brings to the relationship.
Watch my ring. Watch my ring.
Here, at the Maryland Regional Center for Infants, they look for areas where a baby may be overly sensitive to sights, sounds, or touch. These may interfere with his critical ability to calm down and explore the world. This sensory evaluation, for example, tests this baby's tolerance for different kinds of movement.
Now we're going to go upside down. Upside down. Good boy.
During the workup, the team confirms what the mother has suspected. He is especially sensitive to touch. His arched back indicates that he finds pressure there unbearable. A baby's aversion to touch could make a mother feel rejected and set the stage for future emotional problems.
Where's your tummy, Jason? Here's your tummy.
Were you discouraged initially? Were you?
It was clear to me that I wasn't getting the real cuddly baby that I always sort of dreamed I would have a baby that I would be, have sleeping on my belly and carrying around in a snuggly and this and that. It was clear that he wasn't that kind of baby. It was, on the other hand, sort of exciting that he was so interested in things. He was alert, alert from the time he was born.
House with him, how you do at home?
The team's strategy is to help this mother adjust her parenting style to reflect the special care her child requires.
On the other cheek, yes I am, yes I am. Got you.
I think that with babies who don't like a lot of touch, if you can make it be a game, like the kissing, then they can really enjoy it and not know that they're getting touched. So that's the way to sneak it in on them. Yes. Was this unusual?
Yes.
Use that alertness and interest by giving him visual and auditory support. When you're holding him in the position like you're doing now and you gently put your hand on his back, allows him to begin using his strength, which is his great attentiveness, his great interest in things.
His first laugh was when I was doing that.
Yeah, oh, he loves that. He loves that.
In this case, early recognition of a child's special constitutional needs has helped maintain the critical dance between mother and child.
Oh, that's nice.
But other types of problems demand a different approach.
We have a comprehensive model where we pay equal respect to what the baby brings into the world and how the baby matures, what the parents bring in terms of their character structure, their past history. We also pay attention to the larger cultural context that the family operates in.
Remember, she's just little. David. That wasn't nice.
This mother is worried about how to handle the developing rivalry between her son and daughter.
He'll get a running start from across the room and right in her face. He'll just push as hard as he can. And then the next minute he'll turn around and kiss her. He's just very changeable with it. I'm afraid, I guess the worst problem is I'm afraid he's going to hurt her, not intentionally, but like if she'll crawl, he'll try and get on her and just sit down on her, and I'm afraid it's really going to hurt her one day.
Greenspan believes some families need help even with common problems such as sibling rivalry. It's his conviction that early intervention can head off more serious problems later on.
This little baby girl, she has a big brother, and he tyrannizes his little sister. And Mommy's got to figure out now, how do I balance the needs of my little girl, who's a wonderful, loving little girl, but who's also very, very sensitive and easily gets offended and hurt, upset, and the needs of my assertive big boy. And if this continues, brother might feel that the way to deal with having to share Mommy is to beat up the kid who's less strong than me. And this little girl could be scared of the world generally.
Greenspan's goal in therapy is to find positive ways to get a family back on track. So he proposes techniques to alter the way family members relate to one another.
David is going to be a giver and a helper, a mommy's partner.
Come take these rings from Heather and see if she'll come back and get them. You take those? No, Mommy. Well, hold them out to her. Hold them out and see if she'll come get them. See. Here, Heather.
Here, Heather.
Until recently, most therapists would have considered this kind of early intervention strictly experimental. Children were not usually treated until more obvious problems emerged, such as extremes of destructive behavior. Even today, this comprehensive approach is available in only a handful of clinics across the country.
Here.
Well, look at
that. She got him back. Very good.
Now we're cooking, huh? By working with him, he'll get to do that, and also at the same time, you'll be helping him learn to share more with Heather. You'll be helping Heather learn to be more assertive, and he'll feel good because he'll be a partner to you. Do I get a shake? Thanks. Are you going to be a